Good morning. This is, let's just hide that and come back to this. This is Blabbing for Britain, episode 90. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Stephen.
And 90th week, we're still here. We're still going strong. Though we say strong, we've both got a cold today. So if we disappear for a moment, don't worry about it. We'll be back shortly. I'm just going to check that we're actually live. And yes, we are live now. So I'm going to put a link in the bottom left-hand corner if you want, John. I'm going to share out a little bit. So bear with us a moment as we do a little bit of sharing. I'm just going to share first of all to my page and hopefully remember to share elsewhere during the course of the show. Waiting for Mr. Stephen Silk, who should be with us shortly. He didn't say he'd be late. He just said he'd be leaving early, didn't he?
Yes.
So we'll let him do that. But he hasn't arrived yet. So you can't leave early if you haven't arrived, can you? Doesn't make sense. Right. Okay. This week's stories. Where do you want to start, John?
God. Well, we could always start with the macabre.
Let's get it. Over to you. Go on.
Well, actually, it sounds very macabre, but I think it's actually quite a clever idea. Some guys are offering a service whereby you can have some of your ashes incorporated in a vinyl LP, and you're speaking, any recordings you've got, you're speaking, and is the tracks on the vinyl LP. And the demand is such that they can't cope. So that was my macabre start to the week, or the day, I should say.
Well, that was my comment on actually seeing it. Yeah, it is. Death is something we don't talk about much in life, really. And it does seem. I don't know whether. I mean, we've got the story of the urn on the mantelpiece, haven't we? And for many years, that was the way in which you stayed close to your departed loved ones, was to have their ashes in an urn on the mantelpiece. And now you're saying you can have them as a playable vinyl record.
Well, only some of them are incorporated in the vinyl. You're not making the vinyl out of the ashes, but you are having some of them incorporated. The idea is that they live on. Yeah.
We're getting closer to the truth here. There is. Morning, Stephen.
Morning, guys.
The vinyl record contains a dusting of the ashes of the deceased.
That's correct. Yes.
Right. Okay.
And then the recordings of the deceased are etched into the grooves of the vinyl LP.
Well, both Stephen and I had advance notice of this particular topic, which is just as well. Good morning, Stephen. And what are your thoughts?
I've heard about people making diamonds out of themselves or their ashes. It's about 10 grand a pop, I think, to do it. But whether a record's not quite the same, is it really? So it's not as portable. But I just don't. It's not for me. Not for me.
I don't think it's for me either.
There was a cup. You can have a coffee cup made out of your ashes as well. I mean,
there's all sorts of things. But the thing is, it's okay you saying it's not for me, but you don't get any say in the matter because you've gone, mate.
Oh no! I'm leaving a will, mate, and it's going to say I will not be part of any record attempt. Simple as.
That's the award-winning European broadcaster of the streaming community.
Right, thank you for mentioning that, Stephen. And
2 seconds it took to get that in.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty good going. And overnight, one of the Udemy courses now has 2,000 students, and that's the course all about Be Live TV, which is free to everybody. And more amazing than that is 19 5-star reviews in the last 24 hours. So that's going swimmingly.
Right. Spending that money that he's given us, Stephen, to do those 19.
What? We're doing fine, thank you. I'm not.
Now that's Stephen, not you.
All right.
You bribed us, Stephen and I, to do the 19 5-star reviews, was what I was implying.
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. No, I know that. You've got to understand that Udemy are stricter than a strict thing, both in terms of video and audio quality and in terms of reviews. This instructor doesn't see a review until 24 hours after it's been posted because they validate it first. So there are no rogue reviews at all. People have got to be on the course. That's the first thing, and they have to complete part of the course. So no rogue reviews.
How much of the course do they have to go before they can?
You're actually asked after 20%, and then you give a final review later on. You don't have to review after 20%. Most of the reviews we're getting at the moment are after 62%. Which means that people have got it fair. Right, okay. And coming from Tish, morning Tish. As before, I watched last Thursday's live because I missed it, and it's very funny. Yeah, okay. Especially, we were talking about the patio, weren't we, last week? And
who's under the patio?
And John's F-bomb.
Don't know what that was.
I do. It's when he was naughty.
You were naughty. You were not going to do it this week, are you?
I didn't get the whole word out, just the first 2 letters.
Dear.
I can't even remember what it was about now.
Well, it's a week ago, wasn't it? I mean, come on.
I can't remember what I did yesterday. You know? Actually, I can remember what I did yesterday. I did the VAT return yesterday.
All right, okay.
I've got to finish it off today because it's got to be paid today.
You have to be done by midnight, John.
Oh, no. Got to be done by 6:30, Stephen. Can't pay it otherwise unless you do it before 6:30. Got to receive the payment. A fast pay shuts down at 6:30.
Which bank are you with?
It doesn't matter if you don't pay by 6:30, it will not reach their bank on time, and you will get a naughty letter. I know because I have one to hand if you would like to.
But today's my deadline, but it's to file the actual return.
You can file the return up to midnight, no issue. Yeah, cool. But payment has to be received on the last day as well, and the last time you can make a fast pay payment is 6:30.
Understood. I've got it. So that's today's VAT compliance lesson over with.
Good. Okay.
Well, you don't get a value from this, can you? Really, you know.
No. We cover the whole Brexit now. In interesting Brexit news, we haven't got a clue what's going on. Our government haven't got a clue what's going on. But what we do know is that the EU have a clue what's going on. And they've said that there should be special treatment for Northern Ireland. Unique. Yeah, indeed. Because they have a major problem insofar as they don't want a hard border between the north and south of Ireland. ERA, Southern Ireland, is a member of the EU, a country in its own right, and will stay a member of the EU when Great Britain leaves. Northern Ireland is part of Great Britain and therefore British. And obviously, that would, when we do leave, that will create the need for a border, because otherwise we'd just be able to fly over to Ireland, go straight into ERA, go to the airport in Dublin, and fly off into Europe. Well, that's a stupid example, but you know where I'm coming from.
But isn't it actually impossible to come up with a solution? How can you come up with a solution for something which there is no solution?
Good morning, Fernando. Right, okay. The problem is this: that the border roads, or the roads which compose the border in Ireland, are virtually unpoliceable. You couldn't hope to check all the border crossings.
I've got it. Build a wall.
No, somebody used to say that. There are 4 test trials going on at the moment of wall building. All we need for them to do is to finish their trials. We can then import the technology into the UK. No,
Well, would it be the UK or our era?
Area, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I've come up with these solutions and problems keep on.
There is a solution. There is a solution. When you go over the change in the tarmac, because that's what the border is at the end of the day, the tarmac changes because one organisation does the south and the different does the north. We have to have a little man pop up out the ground, you know, and say tariff, you know, or something like that.
You suggest you're going to have a little man dressed in green?
That's the definition.
Going to be leprechaun.
Oh dear, definition of jobs for the boys, I think. No, but then the problem is there was a cycle club. Peter would appreciate this. There's a cycling club in Northern Ireland, and every Sunday they go out for a ride on a stretch of road which is 7 miles long, and goes north and south, north and south, north and south, and they're actually crossing from the north to the south about 6 or 7 times as they go on their Sunday ride, which makes it impossible, as Stephen said earlier, to actually police the border. But I mean, it does seem to be the EU are actually making, I hate to say this, but the EU are making the most sense at the moment.
Oh, is it Jacques Barnier?
Yeah.
He's taking he's running rings around the Muppets that we've got. I mean, it's just, and it looks like there's somebody inside government leaking like crazy at the moment. You've had 2 things last few days. You've had the discussion documents or policy documents about immigration.
Yeah.
And yesterday, she sent a letter to all of the top 100 CEOs saying, just sign this, mate. And they're all saying, oh, you know, John words. I'm wondering if the Brexiteers expected this as a consequence of their vote. You know, they voted to leave, and we know why, and everybody says we accept the decision. But I wonder if they understood the level of crapness, the level of incompetence that is now playing out on their behalf. Do you think they knew that? Anybody knew that? We kind of guessed that, didn't we?
I think we yeah. Well, first, the whole idea of leaving is a nonsense on so many different levels. But when it comes to it, they just don't know how to do it. Nobody planned for it. Nobody expected it. And even now, we are now 14 months down the road since the decision was made in June 2016. That's right, isn't it? 14 months down the road, and we are no nearer to solving or even getting started.
Are we going to put a wall on the Channel Tunnel?
I'd probably put a tariff. A tariff would be a good idea.
No. We're going to have gates like they have on a on a crossing. When the tunnel comes out, about 150 yards from the end of the tunnel, there's going to be gates, you know.
Oh, okay.
Men popping out of the ground, John.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Union Jack hats on, and welcome to England. Oh, it could be Britain. Are we going to make the Scots have their own tunnel?
No, they've got a wall. There's already a wall there. We just need to repair it.
Yeah.
That's all we need to do. Improve on what the Romans did, and we've got it.
Adrian, he didn't
Does
know
that mean we're giving half of Northumberland to the Scots then, if we're going to use Adrian's wall?
When were you last in Northumberland? See, we've never been there. So if we've never been there,
I have actually been there. Yes, I've been to Berwick-on-Tweed, which although they play in the Scottish football.
Good old.
It's good morning to Billy, and we should have a non-return valve on the Channel Tunnel. That's it. Now, there's a bloke on the radio. I don't know whether you caught this on the radio, trying to explain to the host why we shouldn't forget about Europe altogether. And he said we shouldn't go on holiday abroad. We shouldn't go on holiday in Europe at all, because that was actually supporting the EU. Right. You were as dumbfounded as I was, and the host of the radio show was.
Is this Farage?
Morning to Billy. No, it wasn't. It wasn't even him. I mean, he's been laying low. I think he's been on holiday, possibly not in Europe, but he has been on holiday, as
He's still
all
on
of
MVP,
them.
isn't he?
Yeah. Right. Okay. And the other thing that's happening at the moment, which doesn't affect us, and it makes us, well, it makes me realise how small we really are, is that Hurricane Irma is heading towards Florida, and my thoughts are with all the contacts that I got in Florida, and hope you stay safe this weekend, because they know. I just can't imagine knowing 72 hours in advance that a great storm is coming your way, and there's nothing you can do. So there's John's word you can do.
Well, do you remember our friend the Bee Man from Southern Carolina?
The B-Man, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's currently preparing like mad because, of course, that's where the storm will end up, even if it goes up the coast of Florida, which is what they're now predicting, that it'll actually be offshore from Florida, so it will only affect the east coast. But that means, of course, that it would plow straight into South Carolina, because Florida comes up and then the rest of America turns right, if you like. So he's been putting generators in, protection for the bee, the house, the works.
It's gone through the Caribbean in the last 24 hours, hasn't it? And
yeah,
a couple of cities have just been levelled.
Complete islands. The island of Barbuda, which has got a population of 79,000, it's just been. I mean, it's just gone.
There isn't anything left standing worth talking about.
That's it. And so, our thoughts are with them. And let's hope we can, when we broadcast next week.
I've got some friends from Stafford on the this meetup thing I go to, and they got married a months ago, and they're going on their honeymoon in 6 days' time to Florida.
Yeah.
And they're sort of thinking, oh God, it was all right, you know.
Are they going to the traditional area like Kissimmee? And
I'm just going to say that I've been to Kissimmee, and it's a wonderful area. It's very flat as well, but I don't know where they're going actually. It'd be some a la Disney.
It's gone quiet.
Rees-Mogg.
Mister, I'm 65 centuries behind the rest of the world.
Perfect leader of the Tory party.
Tell us why, Stephen. Tell us why.
You see, he was actually on the telly the other day, or yesterday, and they were asking him about same-sex marriage and abortion and stuff like that. And he came across as your typical, stereotypical, bloody Tory. He's brilliant. You've got to get him in, guys. You've got to vote him in when she goes, because that's them doomed, absolutely bloody doomed. You could have somebody 10 times worse in quotes than Corbyn, but get old Rees-Mogg in. Brilliant tactic. There you go. That was it.
Right, that was good.
Might as well get back to your side. How's Grandad Cable doing?
He's doing okay.
Is that it, Stephen?
You can't do anything in July and August. They're all on holiday. I mean, it doesn't. We've only just got back. They've only just got back to work. Let's give them a chance to bed in and do stuff. We'll see what happens. Put it this way: it hasn't done anything which people are annoyed with yet. So people are not annoyed with him yet. So we shall see.
It's all the bloody time. There's 1,000 pieces of legislation and 15,000 regulations for all to get through for Brexit, and they're going the other days. No chance.
Well, it's tradition, isn't it? I mean, that's what the whole of our country is built on, is tradition. And holidays is a tradition. And MPs going away. Oh, right, okay. A question from Tish, which we should take straight away.
Well, rumour has it that Peter's in Birmingham today.
You're not staying with you, John?
He's gone to see Mr. Cowell. The rumour has it.
The real one?
Yeah, it's trials. They don't call it trials, but it's
auditions.
Auditions in Birmingham today.
He's gone to auditions.
He's gone to audition.
I don't know how much you believe of it, but that's what he posted the other day. Posted a picture of on Tuesday night, picture of Simon Cowell, and said, "I'm going down to Birmingham to see this guy tomorrow." So,
can we imagine that?
Well, I can. He's a bloody good singer. Let's be honest. Yeah. He is a good singer.
Right. So Peter is up and about. He's travelled the 200 miles from his home down to Birmingham.
It's a bit 200 miles.
Well, I'm just beating.
What a fact.
I don't know whether it's true or not, but that's what he posted on Tuesday night.
Bloody hell. Is he taking Wally down with him? Backing singer.
Come on his bike. Will it? Anyway, that's what he's posted. We don't know whether it's true or not.
I really hope it's not. Stunned silence.
Some silence. I mean, Peter's he has got 2 weeks of his rehabilitation to go, so we don't expect to see him back on here for at least another 2 weeks. But hopefully he'll be back here before we reach our 100th program, which is in 10 weeks' time, which makes it, quick bit of math. I'm going to get this wrong. Sorry?
I said nearly Christmas.
Nearly Christmas. Yeah, okay. So that will be a big celebration. So we'll have to do some planning for that one. Or just what we normally do and just busk it and have the odd silence as we Yeah, and it's difficult. I mean, I could talk about the tennis, but there's no point really.
Well, now he's quit for the whole season.
Andy Murray, yeah, he's
Scotsman, because he's no longer British, is he?
He's totally British. He's still the world #1 at the moment. So just keep calm. He's doing enough to stay at the top for the moment. Obviously, after the US Open, things might change. But Mr. Federer got knocked out as well yesterday. So his comeback has stopped. But he's always done more than anybody else. But amazingly, and Chris, you remember Chrissy Evert?
Yeah.
A long time back.
Good. Now, we all know why we remember Chrissy Evert, because that's why we all started watching tennis. Now, she was on the news the other day, and she was saying that it's the first time in 10 years that the USA have had a tennis presence, and all 4 semi-finalists in the ladies part of the tournament are in fact American.
Yep.
And you wouldn't have put money on that a couple of years ago. So we all thought it was just going to be the Williams sisters forever, but it's not. There are now 4 decent American lady tennis players who are contesting the semi-finals later today. And then tomorrow is the men's semi-finals, and that'll be contested by, will you get it? 4 Americans. So there you are. Total turnaround from a few years ago. Well, 3 Americans and Nadal. I don't give the Americans much chance, really, but you never know. Now, over to cricket. Right, okay. We've still got the 3rd test coming up. And here's a name to conjure with before we go back to tennis. We'll go back to tennis for a moment. Yvonne Goolagong. And we had fun with that name then. We can still have fun now. One of the great Australian tennis players. In the days of Sue Barker and
Chris Evert.
Yeah, and Chris Evert, yeah. Sort of golden era of tennis.
Dunia Wade.
Yeah.
Even in the Wimbledon in the Queen's Silver Jubilee year. 1976 or something.
77.
77.
1977. Some facts I do know, Stephen. I get they're just stuck there, and I can recall them. I can't recall. The unfortunate thing is that we forget more than we know, and it's
we
where
remember the stuff we don't need to remember. Thank God for Google.
Oh yeah, we do remember things we don't need. This is very true.
I remember reading a science fiction book when I was about 10 or 11, and basically everybody had outsourced their memories to the great network in the sky, the sort of the internet, well before it was around. And then one kid one day actually remembered something.
Yeah.
First time, and they said, "Well, what do you mean you remember?" I just remember. Don't have to go online to get my information. And it was a brilliant little book. Like so many others.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Indeed. And if we're going between fact and fiction, or fact, which is incredible and unbelievable, North Korea.
Calming down, isn't it?
It's calming down, is it?
I believe so. Yeah. Trumpy Pops is being less crazy, I think. And so if it was like at level 10, it's down to level 7, 8 now. But that's just what I read on the fake news.
Well, there's real news as well. There is real news. But yeah, it's been quite the last couple of days. I mean, to have the ability to actually send missiles around the world. And
to actually explode a hydrogen bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Caused an earthquake in China somewhere.
They did.
Yeah. You think they'd get on board now, wouldn't you, really?
Well, I mean, Putin is saying that extra sanctions will not work. Yeah, and that's quite possibly true, but you've got to come up with some ideas as well, rather than saying, you can't do that.
Their test site is 7 miles from the Chinese border. So put that into context, it's closer to China than I am to both of you guys.
Yeah, and that's why the earthquake occurred in China, because part of the, they think that part of the tunneling collapsed, and that sent the earthquake across into China. But North Korea was in the news, is not top story at the moment. So
you've got the Dreamers at the top of the
Dhaka
US news at the moment.
Right, Trish. Yeah,
I mentioned it to Sue this morning, and it's just another horrific piece of. It's just horrific from the monster himself. And again, I mean, I probably watch all the fake news sites, CNN and MSNBC, but apparently he signed this. It's an executive order, maybe. He signed it without realizing what he was doing, and what he's doing is telling people who came across to the US illegally with their parents, so they may have been 10 and less years old and have grown up and are now actually. Well, there was an example during the Texas floods where there was one of these dreamer adults rescuing people, and these guys turn into policemen and all sorts of value-adding citizens.
Yep.
And they're going to just kick him out now if he gets his way. And it's it's every bloody week something horrific comes out of that bloke's head. Well, maybe not his head. It's just.
Your thoughts, John?
On Trump.
On Dhaka.
I don't really know what Dhaka is. So.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, basically, last year, Obama's passed a law, a presidential thingy.
2012, Stephen.
2012, saying that if you were brought into the US illegally as a youngster, you had the right to stay. Now, this affects 800,000 people. As Stephen has just explained, Since they arrived in the USA, they've become valuable citizens contributing to the wealth of the country. And President Trump has turned around and signed an order which said, I'm sorry, Mr. Obama got it wrong. He shouldn't have done it. He didn't have the power to do it. We're stopping it now. You're not safe in our country. 800,000 people will have to kicked out when we catch them. But that's another story. That's it. Now that we've got sort of mini versions of this in the UK in our immigration policy or proposed immigration policy, which we don't know about yet.
Well, we've got similar things anyway, haven't we? Because we've had that coloured youngster that came over as an adopted child, who was told he couldn't stay, even though he's got a place at Oxford. However, they have rescinded that now. And then another guy who applied for his driving licence and got told he'd got to leave the country because he had no right of abode. But he did because his grandmother was English. His mother was Australian. He was born in the UK, but his mother was Australian. So we're doing some bloody crazy things ourselves at the moment.
Well, yes, we are. We'll continue to do so until 2019 when we commit the ultimate folly. But that's way down the road. Anyway, there's been some conversation going on, and Tish has said not to annoy us, which you didn't, Tish. What's happened to Boris Becker? And we'll give her answer in a moment, but Billy's replied that, in his own words, Boris Becker is bankrupt and commentates on the BBC at Wimbledon. And Tish...
He's currently under the threat of jail, isn't he?
Go on, John.
Oh, well, I just saw something in the paper the other week. I mean, it was tennis, so I skipped over it. But because he's not been paying what he should be paying, he's got a court appointment which could result in him going to prison, apparently.
Oh, okay. Right, okay. But it's, at the moment, as we're speaking at the moment, allegedly, that might happen. But Boris Becker is commentating. No, hang on a minute. Hang on. No, that's not strictly true. Boris Becker has been appointed the chair of the German Tennis Federation. I think. I have to check that out. I'll get the answer for that next week, but I know he's taken over German tennis.
Well, so, might have some money to pay his debts then.
That's possible. That's possible.
Well, while we're talking about sport, because that's sport, isn't it? 14 seconds.
14 seconds, John. That's a good teaser. Go on. 14
seconds. That's how late Leicester were registering Adrian Silva with FIFA, and now he can't play for them till January. They've got to pay his wages.
Oh, wow.
That's not much, is it?
How many thousand a week?
I think it's quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
So the fact was 14 seconds late to FIFA, and they've said no.
Do you reckon there's a portal that they have to go on to, and they'll be arguing about my clock was a bit fast and my clock was a bit
well, I think 14 seconds is very difficult to argue that somebody is late by 14 seconds, especially when you're in two different time zones.
What, you think this might be a job's worth, John? Somebody's.
I think this is really serious.
I'm saying it's not serious.
People are trying to make a point that it shouldn't all be left to the last 14 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that beats my record. I remember putting a bid in for some, I think it was an MOD grant. And I obviously you have to have your bid in by midnight, come hell or high water. And I think we were about 7 minutes inside the deadline. To close to be. I mean, VAT tonight would be a piece of you-know-what compared to that. But they have to have a cut-off, don't they? And if you have a cut-off, it's a real one. So you have to follow the rules, and they should have known, because these things are negotiated over months, aren't they? And there's a big fanfare towards the end. But you know, if it's to miss by 14 seconds is to miss by a mile, as far as I can tell.
Well, of course, it's even worse because they sold their star forward that he was replacing at the very end, so they really hit in the attacking area, shall we say?
Is this Leicester? You're saying?
Yeah.
Cool. That's 3 more points for us.
and possibly for Burnley as well. Who knows? But we didn't play last weekend because there was this international thing going on. What's that about?
I think it's crazy. Why do we need to give up football just because 22 people out of the whole of the 92 clubs in the league have been called up? I mean, after all, there's hardly any English players left in the Premier.
Well, that's true. I mean, how do they find the 11? I mean, that's the first question. Because it's so difficult. I mean, they do take players from Burnley, though.
Well, every club can have a squad of 26 that they can play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 30 for European competitions. You get 4 extra places for Europe. So, really, nobody's going to lose that many that they couldn't field a team.
For sure. I mean, do we care anymore? I mean, I know it sounds unpatriotic, and you know, I'm of an age where you should always support your country. But frankly, after what happened last year against, for example, the Icelandics in the World Cup, who bloody cares?
I don't think as many people care as used to. I agree with you on that. Sentiment is such that I mean, we know. We can take it for granted that we're actually going to qualify for a tournament, unlike some countries within the United Kingdom. We do ordinarily qualify for a tournament, but then we stuff it up, and that's consistent. That's been consistent since the year 1966. Whenever we get to a final, since '66, it's gone wrong. The wheels have fallen off at some point. I mean, we're superb at qualifying, aren't we?
Can't we get a cup for that?
The biggest problem is of our own making. We do not have enough English players in the Premier League to get the skill level that we need to compete against the others, the Germanys, the Brazils, etc. of the world. And that's why we slip down. And we've got a danger of ending up below Wales soon in the league of countries.
Yeah, well, we can't have that, John. So we just have to. I mean, they did 2 wins over the weekend, didn't they?
I mean, I've got nothing. I rather like Southgate because he's not got a club mentality, and I think that's half the problem we've had. Is that guy's done fantastic at that club. Let's make him England manager, and then it's fallen apart because it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Because you get to see the guys every now and again, and not all the time. Where Southgate at least has come up with that regime, having done the 21s to 23s, and now he's the England manager. Because he's never really been much of a club manager, as he did have a go, I think, at Middlesbrough, was it, or something like that?
Yeah. I think your memory is serving you well.
I need to be on my skates, but it's been a delight as ever. And
you're on the runs, are you?
Yeah, I've got more screens of joy to deliver.
All right, okay. Well, enjoy delivering the screens of joy, Stephen.
I've got to go do the screens of joy. Take care, guys. See you next week.
Care. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
And then there were 2. Right, okay.
The original 2.
This is true. Now, tech news. Be Live TV news show, which you can check out on the 19th of September with Ross Brand and my memory's gone, John. What am I going to do now? With Ross Brand. Let's just leave it at that. But it's something I saw last night, technical news, and I know we're on Be Live TV, but I'm going to say it anyway. Lightstream, or golightstream.com. Leland Best interviewed Stu, the CEO, yesterday, and they have the latest version, which is free, by the way, supports 8 people on screen. at the same time. 8. It's like Blab and Fire Talk and Smile Time all rolled into one. 8 people on screen.
Now, can you screen share from a second screen? Because that would then make our man from Plymouth happy.
No, you can't. Yeah, I know. So
I think it's a big ask to actually do that myself.
I agree. And you're actually showing I'm going to answer the question at some point today, but you're actually sharing the desktop, aren't you?
Yeah.
The desktop of the PC you're on. So, yeah. And I think you'd have to have a special set of drivers to even get anywhere near that. And it's the oddball circumstance. So why can't you share your own desktop anyway? I mean,
Wait, he wanted to share from his second screen.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, but
no. Well, anything you can have on the second screen, you can have on the first screen. I mean, the thing is that if you do screen share, and if I was to go screen share now, then I've got to go to the screen that's being shared to be able to talk about it. Yeah. Whereas if it was on a second monitor, I could still have the sort of Beeline TV control center here and the second screen over there, so I could be turning my head. That's another thing. You'd be turning your head. You wouldn't be looking at the camera. What's the man doing?
He needs to buy a 30-inch monitor. That's the answer.
Indeed. I'm going to come back to another question in a moment, but I've got a pertinent question.
He's back and well, though. That I must say.
Oh, it is. It's good to see him back and in form and getting better every day. Speaking of which, it says with sadness yesterday that I learned of the death of David Long, his wife, and my thoughts. Our thoughts, John, are with David and the girls, aren't they?
I didn't even know she was poorly, but he did say it was a short battle.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Cancer is the pits, and I just, for anybody who has cancer, I empathise, but for David especially, who has 2 young daughters with him now to bring up, then if you need help, then just ask. But I know he's got family around him, so when it comes so close, right?
Well, my sister had her last radiotherapy treatment the other day. She's just now says she's looking to get her life back. So
good. Yeah.
I've lost one to cancer, and the other one's came pretty close. So
yeah, it is definitely the pits. All right, coming back to surreal life. The question from Tish is, when will the next election be so we can get rid of Theresa May? Theresa herself was Theresa herself was recently in Japan, and she was asked this question. She said that she was asked whether she was going to resign or not, or whether she was going to see things through. The next election, according to Theresa May, is in 2022. Because that will be when their 5 years are up. According to her, well, not quite supporters, according to MPs though, Conservative MPs, it might be sooner than that. Certainly not the general election, but the
internal Conservative Party situation.
The backbench 19.
How can they vote for Jacob Rees-Mogg? We're going to go back to the 1800s. In the future.
No. He's anti so many things, as you say, back to the 1800s. So officially,
he has some positive sides as well. I mean, he is very positive about pushing his own area and things like that.
Yeah, he's obviously a good constituency MP, as was his father before him. It's a dynasty going on here, the Rees-Mogg dynasty. You remember William Rees-Mogg?
Yeah.
Of course we do. It's the Enoch Powell era, but we're not going to go there.
The rivers of blood.
Indeed. Yeah. So.
I do know an Enoch Powell joke, but I can't tell it on here.
You can tell it afterwards. You tell it afterwards. We're not starting telling the joke, but live on air might be.
Not PC.
Oh, politically correct. That's a thing, isn't it? That's something that's changed in recent years. There's things we can and can't say. There are words we can and can't use. There are ideas that we're not allowed to push. We're being censored, John.
Yeah. Even our comedians are being censored.
Example?
Well, one of our well-known comedians can't talk about his mate Chalky any longer. So,
well, yeah, indeed, he can't. And yeah, if you remember the comedians of yore, I'm just trying to think of one, the northern one, the Manchester one. It'll come to me. It'll come to me after the show. I know it will.
yeah.
We'd have to do a session on great British comedians next week.
Harry Worth.
No, it wasn't. What Harry Worth
No,
was.
he's a great
Harry Worth was a great British comedian, but
that's what I meant. Not Harry Worth was the one. The only reason is that a friend of mine wore a trilby the other day, and I said to him, "You look like Harry Worth," and he said, "Who the barp is Harry Worth?" So I then did this.
Yeah, I mean,
he still didn't know who I was talking about, you know.
No, you did. Yeah, the wind. Yeah, all there. That's all you need to do to anybody over
Manchester. It was
anybody over 40 would recognise that.
Another gentleman that we lost to cancer as well.
Yeah, but I mean, British humour is just brilliant. I mean, we laugh at ourselves almost every day. Really, we don't take ourselves too seriously. Because if we didn't laugh living in this country, we'd be crying, and that would be no good for anybody. The sun's shining today, John. Let's have a weather check. The sun's shining, brilliant, sunny sky. Okay.
It was about 6:30, 7 o'clock, but greyed over now.
Right. Okay. Now, I did a new show yesterday, but I didn't do it on Facebook. How's that?
I've seen it.
Ah, right. I did it on Lightstream. Go Lightstream. I quite enjoyed it. It took me. Right, they've got a video at the moment, which is a magnificent video. It says go live on Lightstream in 60 seconds. Yep. And the clock counts down, and they do actually go live. But you can't. That's not going live with a show. I mean, a show like ours takes hours of planning. But the show yesterday took me 2 days to put together. Because I had to get the content right, I had to get the technicals right, and then lo and behold, magazine show. It was a Steam on Video magazine show. I might change the title, but it was on YouTube, and it went out live. And I had a viewer. I had a viewer, John. Somebody watched live, and it was absolutely brilliant.
I watched the Well, I haven't watched it all the way through, but I've watched some of the replay.
No, it was Miss Zara. I was Zara over in Weston.
Oh, Lockwood.
I love. Yep. The clue was in the title because the name on there is actually Ms. Lockwood. So I knew it was Laura. So she helped me sort out the technical difficulties with sound, but I was able to share my screen, full screen, and talk over the screen. And the placing of my picture on the screen was, I think, decent. Then I was able to play a video with full sound. Yeah, which I'd recorded earlier. So I'm quite impressed with that. So I'm going to be using that for YouTube. And
I've got it marked to watch through fully, but I've just sort of skimmed and jumped a bit, and then said, "Oh, I've got to do the VAT. I'll come back to that later."
Right. Well, it pushed my processor a bit, but it was in Stu, the guy who owns it, was, as I say, interviewed by Leland last night. So I'm going to watch that interview.
I'm interested because I saw Leland live yesterday.
Oh, right.
To work out to fit a leg to a chair. So.
Okay. Well, he's into renovations, isn't he? What I mean, his main living is finding old furniture and renovating it and then selling it on eBay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Leland. Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe it. That's why I can believe it, that he does renovate things and sell them. So buy for $10, renovate it, and sell it for $50. That sort of thing. And some his restorations are absolutely brilliant. He's shown photographs, and he's got a well-regarded eBay account. And just to shout out for Leland, as you've just mentioned, Leland has a new book about live broadcasting, which is just published. There are details on his Facebook page, and if you look for Leland Best Alive, you'll find Leland and details of the book about live broadcasting. The only problem is that the people who actually are watching these videos are actually already on live broadcasting. So, I mean, the book's got to reach a new audience, and that's what we're going to look at today, later today. 5 o'clock today, 12 p.m. Eastern, is Grow Your Live Tribe with Tina and Stephen. And we'll be talking about ways to actually increase your viewership when you do go live, which is a fascinating topic. And whenever we do find the answer, we'll let you know. If you've got an answer, then let us know. There was a gentleman turned up in Belivers last week who said he'd done his first show and got over 1,000 views. And the first question was, well, how do you do that? And the answer was, if you go and check his profile, he's a Brit. And he has a couple of 100,000 followers. So there you are. That's what you need to do. Get a couple of 100,000 followers. That was actually my call to action. Join me at 12 p.m. Eastern on my page for Grow Your Life Tribe with Tina.
Hey, you know, every time you mention Tina, I keep thinking of the Bay City Rollers.
Tell me why.
Shangalang. That was their chorus, wasn't it?
It was, and that was a reasonable interpretation of it, John. If anybody's ever heard Shangalang or not heard Shangalang, then go across to YouTube, type in Shangalang, that's SHANG-A-lang, and play the song, and you'll understand why. Once you've heard it, you'll never get rid of it. It's one of those songs that stays around all day.
So I've got this weirdly wide brain, you see, Tina.
Yeah.
Gang.
Yeah.
Bay City Rollers.
Yeah. Before meeting Tina and Shanghai this year, if you said Tina to me, that would have been Turner. Yeah. River Deep, Mountain High. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, right.
No.
Oh.
No, and I'm not even going to attempt.
Right. Okay. I used to be when I was younger. My friends who used to hang out with at school and afterwards told me that they were joining the church choir, and one of them had already been there for a year. His name was Jeff Yates, and he was in the choir. And David Howarth, who went on to Policeman, he was in the choir too. So I thought, I'll try this. So I became a chorister, a choir boy at St. Mary's Church in Nelson. And for 3 years, I sang. And then an unfortunate thing happened. My voice broke. I'm now totally tone deaf. And like John, I will not be singing live on air. We're going to save you from that one. Although, should we do a Christmas song for the 100th episode? I suppose we could manage a Christmas song.
I've still got that video of you and me around somewhere, you know, dressed as reindeers. Do you remember that? Yeah,
I do. It's you like Shang-Lang. Once you've seen it, you can't forget it. So yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but we will have Peter back by then, Tish, and we'll get him to sing us out with a Christmas song. And we'll take a vote as to what the Christmas song should be in the week before the show, and give him a week to brush up, because I know he's going to be rusty after all this time away from the singing circuit. Because he goes out on Saturday nights and he just belts them out.
I think he's singing now. I don't think he's away from it at the moment.
Right. Okay.
I think he was for like 5 or 6 weeks, but yeah. Peter likes his singing, doesn't he?
He does. He does. Right. Okay. Have you got a story for us to finish with, John? Because this is becoming a tradition. You don't.
Story to finish with?
Yeah, you usually hang back with something for the end of the show.
Well, I meant to talk about the the record and the ashes last week, so I've certainly hung back on that one. But last week was so impromptu because we hadn't planned to even do it. That
that's true. Yes, yes. All right.
I got lost in it.
A final story then, which is not unsurprising to those of us with common sense, is taken from the BBC this morning, and I'm going to put the headline up that they've actually used because I think it's, well, let's just get the headline first because we've got a few minutes. So I'm going to paste it into the agenda, and it's into the agenda now, and I'm going to bring it up on screen. The British public have been tricked into buying unhealthy food. I don't think we've been tricked at all. I just think it is. The whole point of this non-story, John, is that we're always being upsold. So if we go to McDonald's and we order a burger and fries, they will say to you, "Would you like a large fries?" And that's what it's all about. That we're actually being talked into eating more than we need by companies hungry for our money. They're taking advantage of us and selling us stuff that we shouldn't be eating. I mean, have you read the story? Seen the story? Not. UK's obesity crisis is being fueled by businesses pushing unhealthy food and large portions on shoppers, according to health reports. And amazingly, 78% of people experience upselling each week. And 35% of us, when we have a meal, add chips. Not to every meal, you understand, but, well, there's some meals that don't need chips and some meals that do need chips. Like Friday's fish and chips, John, would not be fish and chips if we had no chips, would it?
Do you know that we have fish and chips every Friday in this house? But I'm so fish and chipped out. I haven't been having fish and fish and chips is sometimes pie and chips sometimes. Yeah. And for weeks, actually, I've been having a cheese salad.
Wow.
Well, the other two mentioned their thing. But I gave up last Friday because I forgot to buy a cheese salad. I buy the cheese salad from Lidl for £1.79. And it's quite nice. It's actually very value for money. And I forgot. So I ended up with curry and chips in a tray.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, because I hadn't had it for so many weeks. I really enjoyed it, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right. To everybody, well, it's your turn to sign off, as usual. So.
My turn to sign off, as usual. Is that not an oxymoron?
It could well be, yes.
Like Microsoft Works, that was the world's largest oxymoron.
One day it will.
No, Microsoft Works was the cheapo product that sat below Office, wasn't it? Do you remember that?
I do. We could have a trip down memory lane next week, and we'll
remember
British comedians,
computer magazines, you know.
Yeah, British comedians and software we loved, or not?
British comedians and software. How cheap is software today?
Too cheap, John. Too cheap, John. It's difficult to make a living doing
it. Get for pennies is amazing.
Yeah, I remember. I blame software as a service where they charge monthly. That's screwed it.
Yeah, I mean, I have about 9 products I pay for on a monthly basis. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Including Office 365. So, yeah, although I quite like Office 365 with its ability to use anywhere and integration and all the rest of that stuff. And me 1 terabyte of SkyDrive.
Yeah, I'm a rebel. I use Google Docs. I'm part of the rebel army. Okay, Karen.
Yeah, well, I've been using Word forever, so moving to Google Docs would be crazy for me. You still have to pay for that anyway, don't you, to get the proper version?
Oh, yeah, you do, yes. Yeah.
I think it's cheaper than £9.60 a month.
It's £4.97. I've got it at.
Is that for multiple users?
No, just me.
I get 5 users for £9.60. Well, 5 installations, if you like, for £9.60 a month. which is not too bad, really. So anyway, what's my out? My out today is do your VAT earlier in the month, and then you won't have the problem of doing it at the last moment, like I am. And it looks like the same to my friend Stephen. He's also got to do his today as well. That's to the Stephen. That's Stephen with a PH, not a V. Yeah. So don't leave everything to the last minute. That's today's out. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
And him.
And we'll see you in episode 91 next week. Take care, everybody. Tish, thank you. And also thank you to Billy. Sorry?
91!
Yeah, no, that's the age I hope.
Never envisaged that when we started.
True. If I live to be 91, John, I will be a happy man. That's my final thought. Okay. Take care, everybody. See you soon. And